everyone, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, I am Mariana and I interview the brightest minds of physical therapy. So if you want to increase your knowledge, start right now by subscribing to the channel, clicking on the bell so you don't miss anything, give us a thumbs up and share with your friends. Today our guest is Chanda Jothen and she's going to talk about starting and growing an online business. Chanda is a former school-based therapist, the founder of 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, and the co-founder of Therapy Blogging 101. I hope you enjoyed the show. Hi Chanda, welcome to PT Pro Talk. How are you today?
Hi, thanks for having me.
Awesome. So let's get started talking a little bit about yourself, your career. How did you get to where you are right now?
Okay, so right now I run a website called 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, and what that website is it has a lot of different fun ideas for activities and like gross motor, fine motor activities, along with printables, a shop, and an all-access pass.
Well, so how did you start 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 and how did the idea start?
It actually has been a much evolving thing. When I started, I was just interested in learning how to blog. So if you dig way back in my blog, you'll find recipes, you'll find makeup brush cleaning tutorials, you'll find like the craziest stuff, because I was really just wanting to learn the skill of online blogging. I had no real intention for a business. And then I had written a few posts, because at that time I was in some baby classes with my son. And I had written a few posts about gross motor and motor skills development. And all of a sudden those started to take off and get a lot of interest. So then I was like, and I wrote a few more and it just kind of progressed and people started to get more and more interested. I then returned to my job as a school-based therapist because I was on maternity leave when I had started this. And then I started writing more about different things I did there and started putting some of the resources I used that I had made myself into it. I started with a Teachers Pay Teachers store. And it just kind of started to grow. I'd have people, teachers, parents, therapists contact me asking me for different resources, different ideas. I'd make a lot of resources based on the kids I worked with. And it kind of evolved until I also formed a shop on my website and kind of moved my stuff away from Teachers Pay Teachers. And then my website really started to I started to have more of a mission and a niche and know exactly what I was going for. So it wasn't one of those I knew from the beginning. It was a slow evolution.
So it was more like seeing the need and building something for the people that had the need for that, correct?
Yes, and it went good with my lifestyle because it was what I was doing at the time. So I found a need that I could answer and help with because this is what I did and this is what I knew how to do. So
that's awesome. And who would you say that's your mainly audience? Is like more PTs, teachers, parents?
I would say, I have definitely physical therapists, occupational therapists. I also have a lot of like Phy-Ed, adapted Phy-Ed, classroom teachers, parents, and daycares. I kind of have three different groups of audiences that are going for this gross motor, fine motor component and making it fun.
Yeah. And so what are all the products that you offer? And do you think that these publics like teachers and PTs, do they buy different products or it's everybody buying mainly the same product?
Oh gosh, I have over 700 products in my
Oh my
shop.
goodness.
Yeah, now these aren't like giant products. They're all like little packs that they can buy. So it's a huge variety of what's being bought. There's certain things like core strengthening cards or balance cards that are always really popular. My all access pass, which is a one-time payment and you just get what's in the shop, is very popular. That came because people were emailing me and saying, can I just buy everything? Is there a way I can buy everything? And that's how that evolved. So I created an all access pass where they could buy everything at one cost and then they'd be able to download. But there isn't necessarily one product that really everyone's buying. Everyone's buying a variety of different products for a variety of different reasons. So in the spring, they might be buying more like insect, bugs, camping, that kind of thing. Where at winter, they're buying Christmas sweaters, snowball type products. So there's a lot of different themes, and depending on the season, kind of depends on the different products that are selling.
So I was looking at your website and it's very creative, and I saw that you have a lot of different cards. We like this picture. So how do the products work? They are mainly like cards. In general, like what are what you offer?
Well, there's a lot of games, and especially now since the pandemic, people have really found that they love the digital type games. So they come in almost all the new products come in both a digital and printable version. They can play them on tablets, iPads, computers, or they can print them out and use them as printables. A lot of people, I'm getting a lot of feedback from people saying that they're taking these games and putting them up on like interactive smart boards, and kids are going up and pushing, and then they're doing the exercises or activities. But I also do have the cards and printable stuff where you can be at a tabletop or just drawing a card and playing a game that way, or game boards with exercises on them. There's really a huge variety. There's also just the general task cards that like bridge with the instructions on how to do a core strength bridge. So there's really a huge variety, and it's really kind of based on what people are asking for.
Yeah. I was like, that's so creative. How did you like think about developing like all these cards and things? You were just doing as people needed, or you are naturally like a creative person and decide creating these cards and games? So how did that happen?
Well, a couple ways. When I first went into the school, I came from adult outpatient orthopedics. And I was kind of like, whoa, the school is so different. And I would have to have these tiny little spaces where I couldn't even always set up equipment or anything. And I never knew what I was going to get day to day. So I started to make these little just cards that I had thought, that I just kind of came up with fun ideas. And that's how it all started. And then I said a lot of times, like I had my kids as my guidance. If I had a kid where I knew something that they really loved, like for example, if I had a child that really loved basketball, I would make everything about basketball. Even if it was the same exercise that I was using about animals, we would call it basketball. So we'd have basketball cards and we'd relate it to basketball games. So lateral side steps might have been, we might be doing defense, even though we're doing lateral, just sidestepping. So that's kind of how some of that evolved. And then just different people asking, hey, can you make a escape room game or something like that? And then I would come up with a way that I could do that and create it.
That's so cool. And how long have you been doing that? When did you start the Pink Oatmeal?
Well, I started at Pink Oatmeal in 2014, but that was not the same Pink Oatmeal that you see today. The products and stuff that you see today were more like 2017, and that was at Teachers Pay Teachers. And then I started to really grow my shop around late 2017, early 2018 on my website. So the 2014 Pink Oatmeal is recipes, makeup brushes, kids' clothes, but it gave me a foundation for understanding blogging and working in the online world. So
yeah. And now you do that full time?
Yeah, I run my website full time. Yep. And I even have a few people now who help me with certain aspects of it just to stay on top of everything.
Yeah, I just imagine that it's a lot of work to run everything and customers and all of that. And it's also, I feel like you have 3 kids, so you'll probably be very busy, and you give you the ability to have a more flexible lifestyle, I would imagine, right?
Oh yeah, that's what I always say. Like I am so lucky that I found this because of my flexible lifestyle. Like I can't imagine not having that anymore. Like this week I'm able to go to my son's kindergarten celebration and then some garden day without having to take any time off or stress about missing work, missing patients, or not being able to get off. I can just do it. So the flexibility is for sure the number one best bonus that came with my business.
Yeah. And so you started monetizing since the beginning, or like you said that you started with the blog in 2014 and then took like a couple of years to like come up with this idea and start really selling it. So how was that process?
Well, I didn't monetize really at first because like I said, I was just kind of learning, playing around is what I would call it. I put a few little ads on for a while. And then as I started to build products, that's when my monetizing started. It's still my number one form of monetization is my products. I also will do some affiliate work, but that's only I'm very picky about my affiliates. So it's something I usually have to use or something I know my audience is strongly interested in and wants to know more about. I do have some ads on just my blog part, but I keep those turned down pretty low. And then I have a couple courses. One is a partnership with my course with my friend Meredith from Non-Clinical PT. And then I have one small like organizational course. And then every once in a while I'll do some sponsorships, but I keep those few and far between, and I'm very select with any sponsorships that I would do for monetization.
So that's very cool. So your products are the number one, and how did you grow that? How you become more popular or reaching more potential clients? Was that through like word of mouth? Was through ads? So how did you do to grow?
Well, I offer a ton of freebies. So I get a lot of people coming in through Google search, Pinterest, word of mouth, and I've offered a ton of freebies, and then I get an email list going. An email is my number one way of selling my priced products, but I always offer a lot of free information, free products first to build that trust and get them to know what my business is about and understand and not be so salesy and at first, but just here's what I can offer, here's what we're about. And then once they're on my email list and they feel comfortable in the business, that's when I feel like the sales really start to come.
Yeah, it makes sense. And what would you advise to PTs that love this idea of creating something flexible? It could be either a blog or creating a product. What would you say to them? What should they do to get started? Any insights, ideas?
Well, number one, know your audience and know how you can help them. Think of it from how can I serve you? How can I help you? Before you think of how can I make money? Because if you're thinking, how can I make money right away? You're not always getting the right traction you need to. Once you serve people, give them what they need, find out what they need, then the money will start to come. So use your talents in figuring out how you can help people. Think, how can I help you instead of how can I make money off of you? And start there.
Yeah. And so let's say people that want to start writing blogs like you got started just writing blogs.
Mm-hmm.
So do you feel like the blog is just a way to give people information to then like create an audience to get started? That's how would you like see creating a blog?
Yep. Yeah, I do. I see the blog as a way for people to find you. You give them information. They find you through Google search. What I love about a blog versus social media is, although it's not as glamorous and pretty as maybe like an Instagram account where you can get thousands and thousands of followers pretty quick, people are looking for you. You don't have to do work. You don't feel that, I mean, you do a lot of work, but you don't feel that hustle every morning to have to be posting, and then your post dies. When you blog, it's on Google, and you might be number one on Google for years and years. So you could have people just searching a certain key term, and you come up every year. You didn't have to hustle every single year on social media to get that information seen. It's there in your blog. That's what I really love about blogging versus the social media hustle.
Yeah, absolutely. And social media is so much noise, so much people posting and stories, and you gotta be all the time creating something. It is really time consuming, and you're not necessarily like delivering something with value per se. I feel like a blog, you are writing something interesting that people want to learn and learn more about. So I can definitely see the value of blogging. Also requires some effort, but like as you said, I feel you may be more consistent. So would you say that's a good idea for everybody that wants to create like an online business to start like blogging?
I mean, there's 100 ways you can go about it, and it's kind of your approach. I think blogging is a great way, especially in the therapy space. I feel like there's still a lot of open space in Google where you can capture some of those different keywords. Now someone else may tell you Instagram's the best way, or someone else may tell you Facebook. And there's all different ways, and it kind of depends on your personality. But ultimately, I think that I am not burned out at all because I haven't ever felt like I've constantly needed to hustle on social media thanks to my blog and the ability to reach people that way.
Yeah. And how are the courses that you offer? Is that for PTs or for parents?
The courses I offer is my documentation and organization one is for school-based PTs or OTs. And then Meredith and I offer Therapy Blogging 101, which is for any therapist. But honestly, some of our students have created successful blogs on completely non-therapy related issues. They're making more money than they did as PTs from taking our therapy blogging course, but they might be doing a blog on like dogs. And so you don't have to want to do like a therapy related blogging course to be able to get a lot of good content from our course.
Nice. And you also mentioned that you do some courses for organizations.
Yeah, that's my documentation and organization one for school-based therapists. So for school-based therapists, a lot of times we just don't have the documentation systems that clinics have. You're kind of just out there, and they might have you doing a paper and pencil. One school might have you doing a different thing. When I walked into my first day as a school-based PT, and this was in 2010, I believe, I was handed a pile of folders, boxes of folders with handwritten documentation. And it was kind of like, do what you want. So I kind of came up with some different ways with Microsoft OneNote and some organization things. And I kind of teach to have a small course in regards to how I organized my stuff and got away from that like craziness. So
I imagine that's hard if you don't have any structure. You're just like, well, do something.
Yep.
Right.
There you go. So, and that's not
How
just
do I
me.
start it?
That's just kind of common in that part of physical therapy, occupational therapy in the school-based area. So
that's very different. I don't know much about school PTs. So you're just seeing kids. Like, how does that work? You just seeing kids that need.
You're part of the special education team, and you are a related service, meaning if they need, it's not like It's not like somebody who hurt their knee or something. It's if they need physical therapy to access their education. So you might have to be helping with positioning or seating for certain kiddos, or you might need to be getting them adaptive equipment, or you might need to be working with 𝗫𝗏𝗏 on gross motor skills or something to that term. It depends kind of on your district, your school, the specific student's needs. So
that's interesting. Okay. Before we transition to the final questions, there is anything else that you think it's interesting about your business that you would like to share with our PTs, any insights, anything at all?
Just that I'm so glad that I decided to go for it. If you it's always worth taking the chance. If you're someone who's business driven and really want to try, I say take the chance. The only thing if you don't, you're always going to wonder. And you can always fall back on your PT jobs or skills that you have if the business world doesn't work out for you.
Yep. And I feel like, especially like on the PEDS world, there is less people doing like things like you're doing. So I feel like you have more opportunity because it's a space that I don't think is well explored. It feels like it, at least from talking to other PTs. And
yeah, it's definitely more heavy in the occupational therapy in the PEDS world than you don't see as many physical therapists. You see a lot of occupational though.
Yeah. And what is your favorite resource of information? Do you have like any books or anything in particular that you like?
I just like to listen in the business world. Like I like to do more of like my mastermind groups with different people. There's a few podcasts I follow loosely. I'm not great about it. Story Brand. Some of the influencers I'll follow, but overall, I'd say my favorite thing is really getting like a group of people who are doing the same thing as you, where you can talk to. And I have a group I meet with monthly and do that, which is just really fun. And you really learn a lot of good information. So
just exchanging information with people that have similar problems and are trying to go through the same kind of journey that you are.
Yeah, I feel like that's been the most beneficial, even more than any sort of like podcast or book or anything like that.
Yeah.
Is definitely just getting to interact with other people in the same online world. So
yeah, because you can feel lonely when you're doing something that is so different from everybody else.
You definitely can. And when you're working at home without anyone. So yeah,
it's hard. And what would be the best advice that you give to clinicians that are starting their careers?
I would say be prepared to learn a lot at first. Take advice from the people above you and just kind of learn from them.
Yeah. And my final question, what personal qualities and abilities that you think are important to become a successful PT?
I think definitely kindness, empathy, lots of patience, and also perseverance. You're working through a lot of different, whether you're working with clients or patients with tough injuries, or you're working in the online world, you just have to have kind of that perseverance and the ability to want to learn more, to continue to get better and better.
Yes, absolutely. And for PTs that want to learn more about you or learn about your products, your courses, or just get in touch with you, how they can find you?
They can find my website on 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, or they can also, if they're really interested in the therapy blogging that we've talked about, they can head over to Therapy Blogging 101. We actually just did a big course updates on that one. So that's pretty exciting too.
That's cool. Well, Chanda, thank you so much for taking the time to share with us your experience, your journey. I think it's awesome what you're doing. It's very unique, and was a great idea that you had, and people had the need. So I think that's awesome that you found that niche and you're doing so well. So I appreciate your time to be sharing with us your experience.
Thank you so much for having me.